Hey gang, so a few weeks ago, I realized I shared a file similar to this one. I think it was this one, maybe one of the other ones that I've got. I shared this with my list of DJs, and I didn't I didn't really give it much context. So I wanted to go through this one, and there's a few. They're all basically the same, but I wanted to just give you a bit of context around them and see how you can use them. I'll put the links to directly to these. You don't have to opt in or anything. You can just download them. They're just Canva links. But yet you can go through these at your leisure. But I'll walk you through them because I think it's important. So one of the things I did with my community is ask them a bunch of questions. I'd send out a bit of a survey, and in that survey, I asked them whether or not they had a website, and then a lot of them said yes, a lot of them said no. Surprising that almost half of them actually don't have a website, but also whether or not they're getting any traction from the website that they have, and a lot of them said no, they're not getting any leads or anything like that from that. So I figured this might be useful if you are in the process of building a website, or if you're in the process of rebuilding your current website, or if you think now it's time to do that. This is a nice little breakdown, and this is by all means, this is not perfect. You don't have to do it this way, but this is just a way that I've found that it works, not just for DJs, but across the board. This structure, if you're offering a service, this structure will work for you regardless. So what it is basically is it's essentially 7 sections that you're gonna have when you include the header all the way down to the footer, and it's pretty straightforward what you want to do. But it's also almost like a checklist that you can go through and make sure that you have covered all of these things. But essentially, in your header, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're gonna have your logo, and then it could be your navigation. I would suggest, if possible, let's be honest, no one's coming to your DJ website to go through your whole website necessarily. If you can put everything in one page, so if those links link down to certain sections on the page, it's probably easier. It shouldn't be a hell of a lot of content on your site, because really the aim of it is just to sell your services and to showcase your abilities and your unique point of view. And obviously your call to action should be there as well, whatever that may be. So in this case is to check availability, but it could be there could be a secondary call to action, which I'll show you a bit further down. So then your hero section, so straight away after your navigation, you got the bigger part here, which is your hero section. You might have an image, showcasing your skill sets, or maybe you captured an image from an event and you cover that. And really you want to try and have, this is kind of your positioning section, where you're positioning what you're trying to come to the table with in terms of your services. So that's kind of the goal here. And of course, you have a call to action there as well. And then this is something that I don't see many of the websites that I've looked at least, to have this basically a how it works section. So you kind of want to give them a bit of a hint of the process at least. So what happens? Do I just book a time with you, or is it an inquiry, or how does it all work? So, you might fill out a form, it'll give you some information, and then from that, you're going to go ahead and build a plan for them, or you might do that together, and then you give that plan back to them. So this is a scenario. You don't have to do it this way, but the point of this is just you want to give them almost like a roadmap of what's coming next. Basically, you don't want to keep them guessing. And then this section here is what we call a lead capture section. So there's going to be people that are not going to hit this, check availability or book me now button, whatever you want to call this button. So for those people, and that's going to be a huge amount actually, of probably like 95% of people that come to the website are not going to be ready to book you straight away. They're probably just browsing. But while you've got them here, and then you have the option to move this section up even. You could even swap this section with your hero section, depending on how you want to play it. But this section, all you're trying to do here is capture an email address, because you know that they're not going to book straight away. So this email will then, you can then start nurturing on the back end, and you want to give them something of value. You don't want to say like, subscribe to my email list, because no one wants to subscribe to your email list, unfortunately. But if you give them something like an essential guide, a checklist for the wedding, like the perfect playlist or something like that, or for your corporate event, etc., you can do that here, and that way you capture at least the email, then you can follow up through from there. And so that's kind of like the point of it all. And then as we walk further down, so that's section 4. Section 5 is this is kind of pretty self-explanatory. If you've got social proof testimonials, ideally, if you have a video, then you can put that in there as well. That would be great. If you get video from the event or whatever, that's your section. That's to do that there. And then you have an FAQ, which I've already put 4 questions there for the FAQ, but as many questions that you think. Again, you can use something like ChatGPT or Claude to say, what are the common questions, or you can just look at other people's websites. It's nothing unusual, but it's probably the questions that you get all the time, apart from pricing. Although you could cover pricing here as well. You could do starting from or something. So depending on the event, depends what you want to do. But that gives you that opportunity to do that there. And then in the footer, basically, again, pretty self-explanatory, but make sure you have all this sort of, think of the footer as a way to get to anywhere on your site without sort of having to click around too much, but also, there's the opportunity to have your contact details, and then you might have your socials there at the end. That's it. That's a whole kind of framework. The other files are pretty much the same. I just thought you'd have the specific example for weddings. So you might see like, what a lead capture section would look like, but everything else is pretty much the same, essentially. Same goes for corporate. It might just be a different selling sort of proposition here, premium entertainment. So it just depends. You obviously want to try and, again, your positioning will be everything. You don't want to just be fighting on price. You want to be positioning your services as something different to everyone else, basically. And that's the way to do that, by having a strong headline that really sells that positioning on why you're unique and why they want to have you at they should have you at the party. And that's it. So look, there's not much to it, but I thought it'd be worth sharing. Grab the links, have a look through them. If you're building your site, use this as a framework. I might do another follow-up if you leave some comments at the bottom, if you're keen on me having a follow-up where I might actually build one out, so you can see how that will work relatively quickly. And I might even actually use Claude or something, a Claude code, to build it out, so I can show you that as well. So it might be a 2-part video depending on the response. But yeah, if you're keen to see that, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to do something for you.